Thank you. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, everybody. For thousands of years, Aboriginal people have walked this land on their own country as custodians of their Earth Mother. Their unbroken relationships with the land and the sea was and remains to be the centre of their lives. We acknowledge the Gunditjmara people, those of the past, the present and the future. And with gratitude and respect, we recognise their continued relationship, custodianship and their bond to this land, the sea, throughout the ages. Welcome everybody. This evening, to those present in the gallery today, by attending the public meeting of the Council, you are consenting to your image, voice and comments being recorded and published. Council meetings may be live streamed and the Chief Executive Officer will enable a copy of the recording to the public. Councillors, we have one apology this evening from Councillor John Pepper. Councillors, confirmation of the minutes of the 25th of February, please. Councillor Robin.
I'll move the recommendation that the minutes of the council meeting held on the 25th of February 2025 as circulated be confirmed.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Jowett. Any comments, Councillor McDonald?
No.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor McDonald and second by Councillor Jowett. Those in favour? Thank you, Councillor Noski. Councillor Noski's up there. Up there.
He's up. I thought he was down there.
Okay, record 5.2, record of council briefings. There's a recommendation there on page 5 of council receives the record from the 19th of February, 25th of February, the 7th of March and the 11th of March. Somebody to move that. Councillor Angelino.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I move the motion that recommendation that council receives the record of the council briefing held on 18th of February 2025, 25th of February 2025, 4th of March 2025 and the 11th of March 2025.
Thank you, Councillor Angelino. Councillor Carr.
Happy to say it, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Angelino, any commentary on those briefing notes?
No, it was awkward.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Angelino and seconded by Councillor Carr. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Declarations of conflicts of interest. Do we have any conflicts of interest on any items to be raised in tonight's paper? Councillor Angelino.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. 9.5, the old school building.
Thank you, Councillor Lee. And the... Sorry? Yeah. And your reason for the conflict of interest, Councillor Angelino?
Previous engagement with the committee.
With the petition,
with the petition.
That's fine. When you're a community member, that's fine. Thank you. We'll note that. And any others? Councillor Carr.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, item 9.6, the community grants.
Yep.
Specifically the recreation section. Portland Football, Netball, Cricket Club, life member.
Is that an active life member?
Active life member, sorry.
That's fine. Thank you, Councillor Carr. Any further conflicts of interest? Councillor Noski? No, thank you.
No.
Not that you're aware of. Thank you. Thank you, councillors. Item number 7, councillors, are the activity reports. Councillor Robin, would you like to start with those?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll just point out a couple that I've got on there. The Our Community, Our Environment Conference, which a huge amount of the community attended out at the Golf Club on the 1st of February. It was an incredible opportunity to hear from climate specialists across a range of topics including weather, catchment management, human implications and agriculture. It was just incredible having those people come to our region. There were people that flew from Sydney for it, so it was a wonderful opportunity.
What's that? Anything else?
Yes, I had the pleasure of attending Pauline Donovan's 100th birthday celebration to present on council a gift to her, and I did point out to the family it was lucky it didn't happen during COVID because there were 200 people there.
That's amazing.
It was a fabulous day. and also just the advocacy at Deakin University that I attended with Member for Wannon and the Opposition Childcare Minister who attended, just in terms of discussions around the crisis facing the early childhood sector. It was a really productive discussion about what Deakin would like to see moving forward in terms of qualifications for people in the areas where we're struggling to get staff. So that was very, very good.
Thank you, Councillor McDonald. Councillor Angelino.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. So I'd intended that to be the event down at the sea with the environment, and that was a great day. It was well attended by everybody. Also there's the Youth of the Year Lions Club, which we attended, and that was a great night. There was students who actually had to speak and meet on the spot with certain subjects. But actually, when you actually go back, part of the assessment is actually the work they do in the community. And those students, the work they did in other subjects in the community, it was just incredible. It was good to see that these students went out and did this work in the community. Also, the Woodbine Roses, that was another event. Even though it was a hot day, it was well attended, and that was another event that was I went to. And also the ships that come into Portland. It's been a great environment to meet people from all over the world, and they've come into the community and they've gone out to Budgie Binge and Taywag and all over the Shire, and it's been a great. I really enjoyed meeting those people. Thanks.
Thank you for all you do. Councillor Carr.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. There's a few highlights here. So I went to the Portland Junior Basketball Tournament, which was held over 2 weekends. Unusually, they had a massive number of players enter that particular tournament, so they ran it over 2 weekends. It does highlight the need for a facilities upgrade. Just like to thank those volunteers for their efforts over that weekend.
Never miss an opportunity, Councillor Carr.
Yeah, also went down to Melbourne with the Rail Freight Alliance as the representative of the council, and was successful there, Madam Mayor, in being elected to the position of chair.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And also I come up to the Wine Roses here in Hayward. Look, it's a fantastic event. Bring the whole family up for the day, and it continues to be a staple in our calendar, and it's fantastic to see the event be successful year after year after year.
Thank you, Councillor Carr. Councillor Jarrett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I went to quite a few events, as all of my other fellow councillors did. The Classics by the Bay was one of the standouts for me, where we got to walk around and talk to all of the owners of the cars that helped share their passion with me. The Woodbine Roses, as my fellow councillors have alluded to, very warm, but it was a great event. And the combined budget and council planning session around the Shire, specifically Nelson, Dartmoor and Casterton, spoke to many people, and they voiced what they would like to see the direction of our Shire heading in the next 4 years.
Thank you, Councillor Jarrett. Councillor Onosky.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Stevens. The event, Our Community Our Environment, that was held at the Golf Club on February 1st was quite remarkable, put together by a local environmental group led by Lynn Murrell, a former mayor of the City of Portland, and just a world-class panel of speakers to talk about all of the things that are facing us in terms of climate change. And I think it was a remarkable day's program to have in Portland, something that you would expect to see and hope to see in a place like Parliament in Melbourne. The other thing, I share Michael Carr's view on Wood, Wine and Roses, the volunteers barbecue, and indeed the event itself. It's easy to see why it's such an important thing to Hayward. And again, also the budget and council plan consultations in Nelson, Dartmoor and Casterton on the 27th of February were attended by huge numbers given the size of the communities involved, and I thought it was they were really good sessions for us. So that'd be me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Norsky. Councillors, obviously I've attended a few engagements throughout February, but you know, I also attended the Portland Lions Youth of the Year Award for 2024-25, and Councillor Angelino, young Amelia, who was the overall winner that night, has gone on to regionals. She's won the regional Youth of the Year for Lions, and she's going on to state now. So that is certainly rewarding, and certainly support her with her efforts, and what an amazing, you know, there were 4 young students there, and how amazing were they for their ages. Councillor Jarlett, of course, we attended the Classic by the Bay. We've got a nice certificate from them for our, well, they did get a community grant for that particular event, and a nice thank you for them to present to council. And of course, we get the job of picking a vehicle that which is the councillor's vehicle of the year, so that's always a difficult one to work out whether you get that right or wrong. I'm never quite sure whether you get that right or wrong, but anyway. And of course, the cruise ships coming in are a great advantage just for our tourism, and you know, a great sight to see, and so many tourists just come to Portland just to see a cruise ship in the harbour. And then we had arrangements such as we had the Japanese Consular General's visit to Portland as well, which was a really good opportunity that Roma Britnell organised for us. But the CEO and myself went along, and it's great to profile businesses and industry, particularly to the Japanese Consular General, on what might be future engagement with him. And Cross-Border Commission and the RDV had meetings with those as well. But it was the certainly the budget sessions we've done throughout February, and our council plan sessions that we've done throughout all of the locations across the Shire. So I just want to it's been a busy month, but I just want to take the opportunity not just to thank my fellow councillors for attending all of those sessions, but also through the CEO, could you please thank all the staff that gave of their time, but also a lot of work goes into preparing those sessions, and localities and function areas and all sorts of things to actually do that. So if you could pass on council's thanks to the staff for arranging all of those budget sessions and community plan sessions across the Shire, that would be great. Thank you very much. I think there's a number of things there, but councillors, we do keep ourselves busy throughout the month, and I do appreciate each of you who pick up the baton and go and represent council at different events and organisations throughout the month. Councillors, on page 8 there is a recommendation there. If somebody's prepared to move that, we accept those activity reports, please. Councillor Jarlett?
I'd like to move the recommendation that the council notes the councillor activity reports for the 1st of February to the 28th of February 2025.
Thank you. A seconder, please. Councillor Angelino. Councillor Jarlett, any comments?
I think we've covered that quite well.
I think we've covered that. Thank you very much. Just giving you the opportunity.
Thank you.
Right, the recommendation, the motion has been moved by Councillor Jarlett and seconded by Councillor Angelino. Those in favour? Thank you. Carried. There are no notices of motion this evening, councillors. We'll move on to management reports number 9, please. The first one, 9.1, Councillor Chief Executive Leave of Absence Register. Somebody prepared to move? Councillor McDonald.
I'll move the recommendation that Council approve the Councillor and Chief Executive Officer Leave of Absence Register, presented as a confidential circulation under section 35(1)(e), 4 and 6 of the Local Government Act 2020.
Councillor Carr?
Happy to second, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Quite straightforward
Quite
procedural.
straightforward.
The recommendation as tabled on page 17 was moved by Councillor McDonald and seconded by Councillor Carr. Those in favour? Carried. Councillors, we'll move on to 9.1, the response to the notice of motion on working groups. Yes, thank you. Sorry, David.
Thank you.
I'll hand over to you, Mr. Hall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The report responds to
Sorry.
the notice of motion at the Council's December council meeting, providing some detail in regards to proposed working groups and the next steps to be taken should Council wish to proceed with some of those matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hall, and I apologise for that. Councillors, are there any questions in relation to this report at tonight's meeting, please? If not, there is a motion there on page 19, is that what it is? Yep. Councillor Angelino.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'll move the motion that Council receives the report in response to the notice of motion dated the 17th of December Council meeting regarding the establishment of working groups.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor McDonald. Councillor Angelino, did you want to make any comments on that?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I think it's just that there will be a work in progress, and I think we can move forward and get some clarity, and so in time I think we'll get some way forward. We can get some of these groups understanding and moving forward in our 4-year plan.
Thank you, Councillor Angelino. Councillor McDonald, any comments?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yes, no, the staff have been, the executive have been very assuring that we can work together and move forward in various ways depending on what the issue is at hand, and work together as a team to work out how extensive a working group needs to be to represent the community adequately and to move forward with any concerns. So, happy with that.
Does anybody speak against the motion? Councillor Khan.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Probably not exactly what I intended as per the notice of motion. I was hoping that we'd have the framework presented to us so that we could potentially make some decisions about setting up these working groups, so that we could provide some strategic direction to council in the areas as listed.
Thank you. Anything further? If not, I will put the motion. Oh, Councillor Noski. Councillor Noski, did you have a question or comment?
Just speaking again against receiving the report, I share Councillor Carr's concerns, and I would certainly prefer to see the report lay on the table and some further work done on seeing just how we could come up with some terms of reference to find to allow some working groups in the areas nominated by Councillor Carr to exist and remain strategic, and because I think all of those areas are areas where we need to provide ongoing strategic guidance for the community and the council.
Thank you, Councillor Noski. Councillor, there is a motion on the table that's been moved by Councillor Angelino and seconded by Councillor McDonald. I am going to put that to the vote. Those in favour? I'm going to have to use a casting vote. Yeah, look at me like that.
And ask for those again.
Sorry? Are we going to call for a division? Yes. Those that voted against, will you please rise? Please stay there, Mike. I know you did.
Didn't you just stand?
Yeah, that's fine. You're standing.
you want to read?
Is that this one?
Would you?
Sorry? I'm going to read it out. Those for the motion instead. Okay. So it's 3-3. Councillors, I am going to use my casting vote and I'm going to go in favour of the motion that's tabled in tonight's paper for the reasons that we had discussions before with the executive, and that we will continue to discuss this in the months to come, and we will set up working groups as needed based on those discussions. Thank you, councillors. So that is 4-3 in favour of the motion as tabled. Thank you. We'll move on to 9.3, which is the response to the notice of motion, food, organic, green and green organics. There's a motion there. Oh, we're going to get Aaron.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, I present this report in response to the notice of motion requesting a report on food organics and garden organics service, otherwise known as FOGO, within Glenelg Shire. The report itself provides an update regarding the implementation of a FOGO curbside collection service, along with costs and the process to establish this service within the Shire. To implement the FOGO service, a further report will be presented to the April Council meeting for Council to consider its waste transition and the financial approach regarding the waste service charge. A budget allocation is also required within the 2025-26 Council budget to commence and implement the service, including the purchase and rollout of bins and equipment, and to implement the waste education strategy, which is aimed at promoting sustainable waste reduction and resource recovery practices within the Shire. That recommendation is provided before you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Moy. Any questions, councillors? Councillor Carr.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Really, a few questions. I was just wondering if we could run through what's in Table 2. Specifically, I suppose what I'm interested in is the cost. So in terms of bins, it'll only go to people that have got bins. And how much would each person have to pay annually for that bin to be collected? And what's the one-off cost of purchasing that bin in the first year?
So,
Thanks, Mr.
Mayor,
Moy.
happy to take the question. Obviously, the capital costs for the bin purchases are outlined there at approximately $494,000 to purchase the bins, the caddies and other assets. I'm not in a position to confirm what the cost to the ratepayer and through the waste service charge will be at the moment. That needs to be discussed further through a briefing with councillors and the report going to the April Council meeting. So there are a range of different options in terms of the waste service charge, and the waste service charge does apply for properties that currently receive the curbside collection service. And we need to consider what those options are moving forward in terms of implementation of the service. Yes, yeah, I'm looking at Table 2 there, as Councillor Carr referred to. So Table 2 refers to the bin purchase cost, which outlines that currently there are 8,350 tenements or properties that receive curbside collection within the Shire at a capital cost of $494,000 for bin purchase, and the rate charge estimated for that would be $59.23, but we need to work through what the cost and payment options are
For the service
itself.
Anything else,
Yeah,
Councillor Carr?
So just to summarise, so the bin costs roughly $60,
Yes.
and the annual rate charge is $68, so just over $1 a week for green waste.
I think Mr. Wayne's saying that we need to work through that in the budget and confirm what the actual contractor's costs will be and have a confirmation.
Yeah, so,
So the bin itself will be around $60, yes. The bin itself.
sorry, Madam Mayor, I might not have clarified that clearly. So table 1 relates to the operational costs of providing the curbside service itself, which is a total annual rate charge of $68.50, and then table 2 within the report refers to the capital cost of purchasing the bins, and we need to consider what the options are in terms of cost recovery for the bins.
Expensive bins. Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If I could just ask a question. Is it possible, if we get this right and the community get it right and the education helps the community get it right, that the rubbish charge, collection charge could actually reduce over time?
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Councillor McDonald, sorry, for the question. Yes, over time, potentially with reduced general waste volumes, there is potential that the waste service charge will reduce over time, and that needs to occur through part of the waste education process.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moyne. Contamination in our waste is a real issue, isn't it? You know, when we say green waste, we mean green waste. We don't need plastic bags and plastic milk bottles. No, they go in the recycle
That's correct,
bin.
Madam Mayor. There's a large piece of work we'll look to do as a council, and there has been work undertaken previously, improving waste education, reducing volumes that are going into the general waste, which come at a higher cost, and improving, I guess, resource recovery and waste separation. So our team are looking at what the options are regarding that, and that will be informed by a waste transition plan and waste education strategy moving ahead.
Councillors, we could have a competition between townships to see who comes out the best. That would be good. Yeah. Could we do that, Mr. Moyne? We could have a competition to see who gets their recycling and their green waste in the correct bins. That could be a competition. Okay, councillors, there's a motion, the recommendation there on page 23. Councillor Jarl.
I'd like to move the recommendation on page 23 that the Council receives this report in response to the notice of motion dated 28th of January 2025, Council meeting regarding the food and organic waste collection service within the Glenelg Shire.
Thank you, Councillor Jarl. Councillor Carr.
The motion.
Sorry. Councillor Carr.
Happy to second, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Jarl, would you like to make some comment, please?
Absolutely, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm happy with the amount of work that the staff put in to get this report to us. This will be a great thing for our Shire. It possibly could have happened sooner in our previous council, but we are where we are. I'm happy that we're now on the track to hopefully get this rolling out to people as soon as we possibly can.
Thank you, Councillor Jarl. Councillor Carr.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Look, I appreciate the information. It's obviously very timely. We are in the council budget phase, and we are looking at our council 4-year strategic plan, and having this information in this format at this time is going to be very helpful when we consider the budget and the 4-year plan.
Thank you. I'll just make a comment just in relation to what Councillor Jarlett said, that it could have happened in previous councils. You're quite right, it could have. But when the Circular Economy Act came out, Glenelg was touted as 2027, and that's what we always worked on. All councils across Victoria had until 2030 to roll this out. We were always 2027, and that's what we were budgeting for, and that's what we were looking at doing. I think waiting has been a good thing because we've actually learned a lot. Councils, some of our neighbouring councils have learned so much about their green waste and their glass bins, and we're able to now take those learnings with us moving forward, that we haven't gone out there and said, here we go. But we certainly will, and a lot of learnings by a lot of councils across Victoria that had to roll out, particularly metropolitan councils, very early in the piece, but we were fortunate that we didn't have to straight away. So yes, it's a year earlier, Councillor Jarlett, than what we expected, so there you go. Thank you. The motion has been moved by Councillor Jarlett and seconded by Councillor Carr. Those in favour? Carried. 9.4. Councillor Noski, are you happy to move this? Happy to move?
Yeah.
Yep. So you're moving that council adopts the internal resolution procedure? Oh, sorry, David. Sorry. Sorry. I'm just trying to include him. Excuse me, Councillor Noski. David. Mr. Hall, would you like to?
Madam Mayor, with the amendment to legislation last year on the day of the council election, the model code of conduct came into play for all councillors within Victoria. That replaced existing codes of conduct that were developed by individual councils. Part of the requirements from the model code of conduct is that each council by the 30th of June this year has to develop an internal resolution procedure of dealing with councillor conduct matters that tries to resolve any councillor conduct or issues at the initial stages before going up to arbitration. So the particular procedure has been modelled on the template provided and is presented for councillor adoption.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Councillor Noski.
Happy to move the motion, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, the council.
So I move that council adopts the internal resolution procedure.
Thank you, Councillor Noski. Seconder, please. Councillor Angelino. Councillor Noski. Do you want
I don't think anything needs to be added.
Councillor Angelino?
No, Madam Mayor, all good.
Councillors, even though this is a template, I think it's a really common sense way through any internal resolution that we may encounter. And I think it's a really good policy. So thank you, David, thank you, Mr. Hall, for preparing this and bringing it to council in the prescribed time. The motion has been moved by Councillor Noski and seconded by Councillor Angelino. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Sorry, David. Councillor Angelino has declared a conflict of interest, ladies and gentlemen, which means he must leave the chamber. Thank you, Councillor Angelino. Councillors, we'll move on to 9.5, which is the Hayward Old School roof replacement. Mr. Moy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, this report is provided for information purposes for council regarding building maintenance use and the cost of the ongoing maintenance and renewal of the Hayward Old School. The report provides an outline of the history of the building, including the community facilities assessment which has been undertaken previously, along with information on the existing building condition, its use, and the identification of the need for a further review of the building as part of a broader asset management review by council. The budget allocation of $50,000 was included within council's current 2024-25 budget for maintenance works to be undertaken. Through further building inspection and condition assessment data, it was identified that the roof was deemed in poor condition and required replacement as a high priority. The quote process was undertaken with all quotes coming in above the budget allocation, with limited opportunity to further reduce the scope of work. Through a review of council's existing building renewal budget, the financial shortfall has been covered through existing budget to complete the roof replacement and to deliver the priority maintenance work itself. The roof works are scheduled to commence early April and be completed within a 4 to 6 week period, all going well. And moving ahead, a further review of the old school will be undertaken as part of the wider strategic asset review, which considers further maintenance and renewal works, the future use of the building, asset management requirements for council, and including potential options of disposal should they be necessary, and following a process through that. So, recommendations provided.
Thank you, Mr. Moy. Councillors, there's a recommendation there tabled on page 30. Councillor Carr.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'm happy to move the recommendation that council receives this report, provided for information regarding the Hayward Old School building roof replacement being undertaken within the 24-25 financial year.
Thank you. Councillor McDonald.
Second that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Carr, comments?
Look, Madam Mayor, we understand how important the Hayward Old School is to the Hayward community, those who attend, and we understand how it's also heritage So it's a significant building. Replacing the roof is important because if water or moisture gets into the building, Madam Mayor, it will deteriorate at a exponential rate. So some models can come on while we continue to work through what the future use of that building will be.
Thank you, Councillor Carr. Councillor McDonald.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Having made a hobby of renovating heritage and old buildings my entire life, I agree the roof is a great place to start to protect that asset moving forward and see where we go in terms of its use. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think councillors, for the new council, this was a commitment made by the previous council that we would keep the building watertight and that we would maintain the asset, and we knew that there were problems with the roof. So I thank Mr. Moyne and his department for moving forward with that, and I hope that David's gone out to ask them to get off the roof here,
Yes.
so they can stop drilling. It seems roofs are the thing in Hayward at the moment, Mr. Moyne.
They seem to be.
They seem to be, okay. All right, thank you, councillors. The motion was put by Councillor Carr and seconded by Councillor McDonald. Those in favour? Thank you, that's carried. Okay, that's interesting.
Very timely.
Very timely. We're going to get, we're going to swap.
Yes, we'll swap.
Councillor Carr, you have declared a conflict of interest in the Community Grants Round 2 for 2024-25 allocations. And he has left the room, and he'll find Councillor Angelino for us. And thanking Mr. Hall for getting the tradespeople to stop drilling on the roof when we have our council meeting.
I just pushed him off.
You pushed him off? I'm sure you did not. All right.
No, we didn't.
Councillor Angelino,
Thank
he's
you,
left.
Madam.
That's it, he's gone. All right. Councillors, we'll move on to 9.6, which is the community grants for round 2, 2024-25. Who's going to talk to this?
Shall I talk
Shall
to it?
you talk to it? Yes, CEO.
Thank you. So this is the second round of the 2024-25 Community Grants Programme. It was open for a 2-week period from Monday the 3rd of February 2025 to Saturday the 16th of February. We had 48 applications for the total amount of $105,363 and a snip of dollars. The overall funding allocation presented this evening for Council's consideration is $73,583.79. This report provides the recommendations made by the assessment panel of officers, with the applications evaluated according to the policy criteria adopted by Council in July of last year.
Thank you, CEO, for that overview. Councillors, there's a recommendation there tabled on pages 36 and 37. Do I have a move, please? Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move an amended recommendation, if I might, that 1, subject to CEO confirming the eligibility of all of those recipients in relation to the policy criteria, that Council approves the allocation of funds for the Council Grants Program Round 2, 2024-25, as per the recommendation made by officers as outlined below. And 2, notifies in writing all Round 2, 2024-25 successful and unsuccessful applicants. And 3, contact all successful applicants for Round 2, 2024-25 and invite them to attend a presentation evening to be awarded their funding allocation.
Thank you, Councillor McDonald. Is there a seconder, please? Councillor Angelino. Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's an incredible opportunity for our community and to support the volunteers and all the incredible work that they do. I've been involved myself in community groups that have benefited from this, and the joy that the volunteers receive from moving forward with projects that sometimes they've only dreamed of has been amazing, and the support that Council has given them in applying, in understanding the criteria and applying for those grants as they move forward with their projects has been outstanding as well, and I'd like to thank the staff for that.
Thank you, Councillor McDonald. Councillor Angelino.
Yes, thanks, Madam Mayor. I'd also go along with Councillor McDonald. all these groups are all part of our actual Shire. It's represented right through the Shire. They're all big groups, small groups, but they all have trouble with raising funds. And this is a great start that they can plan and they can promote themselves and do great service in the community. So I'd like to thank the Council for adopting all these grants and supplying the way forward.
Thank you. Councillor Angelino. There's nobody wishing, I'm assuming, to speak against the motion. So I will put it to the motion that Councillor MacDonald has moved and Councillor Angelino has seconded. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Councillor Angelino, could you ask Councillor Carr to come back in, please? Thank you, Councillor Carr. Thank you, councillors. Number 10 is urgent business. I don't believe there's any urgent business for tonight's meeting. And then we have question time. There are no questions that have been taken on notice for the last meeting. We do have a couple of questions from community members that we received in the time frame, and I'll remind community members that any questions to council must be received via email or in writing to one of our customer service centres prior to 12 noon on Monday prior to the council meeting. Councillors Fraser Thomas from Nelson has asked a few questions in relation to the Nelson dump point, the Bridge Park playground and the footpath flooding. His first question is, can an easy dump point with water pump and water tank be installed on council land opposite the service station in Nelson using the existing bus shelter? That's an interesting concept, Mr. Hobb. Council has no current plans or budget for the installation of a dump point in this location, which forms part of a wide road reserve. Council is aware of community interest in a new dump point installation and will continue to work with DECA, the Nelson Committee of Management and the community regarding a preferred location for this facility. In relation to the question in the playground and half-court basketball court located in Bridge Park, leased by the Glenelg Shire, is in dire need of a facelift. The playground needs a new playground equipment, and the basketball court needs a new backing board and a coat of paint in the shooting circle. What plans are in place to upgrade this facility? The draft playground renewal program for the Bridge Park playground is scheduled for renewal within the next 5 years. The playground was installed in 2002, and further audit data in 2025 will determine its replacement value and priority on the renewal list. The playground is inspected and passes all safety requirements. However, we acknowledge the need for upgrade once the budget permits. In relation to the basketball court, we will investigate it for a freshen up, and the rec team will also explore the new backboard so it can be costed for this financial year. Mr. Thomas continues, at the last listing post in Nelson, I raised the issue regarding the footpath on the east bank leading onto the bridge that floods every time it rains. Photos were supplied at the time. The Glenelg Shire, he put in a request and he has a flow number that he refers to there from our online request and is asking what plans we have in place to rectify the problem. A follow-up inspection will be undertaken by council officers to identify any drainage problems. We'll also have a look at the land management responsibility and who's responsible for the rectification works. And as you know, councillors, that's the main bridge on Vic Road, so council will be just having a discussion with Vic Roads about who will, how they will manage this, but it's obviously been brought forward by the community. So we thank Mr. Thomas for that. We will be emailing him some responses to his questions. We can, yep. He's not here, so we need to. Just some questions, councillors, in relation to the Kathleen Milliken Centre. These come from Catherine Scott of Casterton. Firstly, she sincerely thanks Council for the advance notification for parents for the impending 2-week closure of the Kathleen Milliken Centre for hailstorm damage repairs to the building. It's been certainly appreciated by parents. Councillors, you're aware that the Kathleen Milliken Centre is obviously a childcare and kindergarten centre. It was damaged in the hailstorm, so we need to shut that facility for repairs to the roof, as the CEO has previously advised us. So that's been advised to the parents. She says that she's not received any communication since her questions to Council at the last meeting in February. She advises that we're still awaiting a resolution from Council for the 4-year-old kindergarten students to travel on the local school bus services. And the Kathleen Milliken Centre parents and friends cannot express deeply enough the impact that this is having on families in our district, and more importantly for the well-being of young students involved. And we believe we need to come to a sensible resolution as soon as possible to provide, and they've provided the following for consideration. That the Kathleen Milliken Centre parents and friends have concluded that they will provide a monitor at the bus stop each morning to ensure 4-year-olds can get off the bus and safely enter the Kathleen Milliken Centre building. They've also requested that Council, by the commencement of Term 2, have in place a designated bus zone in front of the centre so that buses can pull up without being restricted by parents parking in the area. Can Council please make contact with the Kathleen Milliken Centre P&F President Catherine Scott to discuss and confirm these arrangements as soon as possible so that families can be informed for the commencement of Term 2. The response from Council is that Council officers will be in touch with the Parents and Friends Committee to discuss this option. While Council is supportive of this community-based solution, there are regulatory requirements that will need to be worked through to ensure the service is compliant with regulations, and families who elect for their children to travel on the bus are aware of their responsibilities and those of the bus monitor. In relation to the parking review, Council will undertake, Council's engineering officers will undertake a review in consultation with the Community Services Unit to review existing car parking arrangements and the available bus parking options, based on specific needs and the timing of any service commencement. So hopefully, councillors, that sort of rounds off some of that, and thank you, CEO, for undertaking to talk to the PNF on that matter. Councillors, that's the questions for tonight's meeting. Thank you. Councillors, we do have a couple of confidential reports to move into, so there is a recommendation on page 40 there to close the council meeting to public. Councillor Carr.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move the recommendation that the council meeting be closed to members of the public, pursuant to section 66 of the Local Government Act 2020, to consider the following reports. 4.1, contract NPN 2.17-3 Microsoft agreement. There's one other one actually. There's another one. 12.2, contract 2806-0650 retail.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Carr. A seconder, please. Councillor McDonald. Councillors, I think that's straightforward. Moved by Councillor Carr, second by Councillor McDonald. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you for those in attendance. We'll now close the meeting to the public. Thank you, everybody.